Hello, welcome to my channel. I'd give pen and watercolor a shot today, and I'm not entirely happy with the result. I think it looks rather amateurish. I like the couple. He's saying, look, the pub's just at the top of this hill. We can do it. I like that I managed to get depth in the painting. I quite like the colors. I think the lines are a little hard, and the paper wasn't rough enough to give me a broken line anywhere. And I wasn't adventurous enough with my colors, I think. It's an okay picture, but I feel I can get better at this technique if I try, so I will be doing this again. Well, not this exact picture, another one. I started off by sketching on tracing paper. I like to keep my tracings. I never know if there's part or all of one that I want to use again. And so this is it. And as you can see, there's a couple sitting on a bench that are not in the final painting. I just felt that they didn't really add anything to the scene and they made it look a bit more muddled. So I took those out in the final painting. Putting between these two pens, and I didn't recognize that the Sharpie was blue, and I started off with the blue and I decided I didn't like it, and I went over the blue with the black and finished the entire painting with the black. I don't know if you can see it, but I did the woman in the blue and the man in the black, and then I just went over the woman again. If you're using watercolor in the old-fashioned way, you'll need the brushes, the paints, a scrunched up tissue, and water. I rarely clean my watercolor palette. I like the puddles of mixtures that I get. It's very varied and it just needs water added to it. As well, I'm using water, plain water on the paper for the sky, and then dropping blue into it. It'll be darker at the apex and paler as it goes toward the horizon. I'm not sure you see it in this very well. And then at where it gets a few lines on there, I just put my brush into plain water and brush those lines out of it. And I use the tissue, the scrunched up tissue, to blot out the clouds. I think you just don't see it very well in this one. Hold on a minute and I'll get to the tissue. Here's where I'm taking the lines out. Now I'm blotting it out. And it gives quite a nice cloud effect, very natural looking, I think. I wish you could see it better. If the paint dries too quickly, just re-wet it and scrub away and blot away, and you can pick paint up that way, the paint that you don't need. I add a little yellow to my puddle of blue to get a toned down green. And I'm going to use that on the cliff tops and the grassy areas. I'm okay with my colours being weak when I'm doing watercolour because I feel that you can always go in and strengthen colour, but it's much harder to get to take colour off of a painting. You've got to do all that blotting and scrubbing, and sometimes it's not effective. So it's best to sort of start off pale and then increase the depth of colour as you go along. In my opinion, I mean, a lot of people do it differently, I know, but that's how I do it. I strengthened the green for the areas closest to us in the painting, and I use raw sienna to bring the green down because it's quite a vibrant green. I think it's Viridian. I've forgotten. I put these colors in this tray so long ago, but I think it's Viridian, and the raw sienna tones it down a little bit so that it's not quite so vibrant. I'm adding a dash of purple to the tree trunk. I don't mind getting odd colours in there. It just adds to the interest of the bark, and I love colour. That's my thing. and I used raw sienna for the main part and then add a little purple, and I'll go in and add other colours in there as well. And it makes an interesting looking tree trunk. I'm adding it to the rocks in this picture, and I have to say here that I really didn't do a very good job on the rocks. I sort of forgot them and went off on other things. I got distracted and just don't look at the rocks. The pub at the top of the hill is the focal point for the couple in the painting, so I've decided to make that a sort of orangey brown to make it stand out a little bit. I don't usually use that colour in the distance. I usually keep that for the foreground. But in this case, I think because it's the pub and that's where they're going for their point, it needs to stand out a little bit in the distance. One of the things I like about this picture is that there is a distance and you can almost walk into it and walk around it. It's a lot of space. It has space and volume. And I like that about this painting. You see the boats in the distance. You see the lighthouse and the birds and the pub on the hill. When I'm painting with oils or acrylics, I use quite large brushes, and my paintings are very loose. And it's really why I gave up watercolor, because I enjoy painting with the acrylics and water mixable oils. And I find I paint in a very different style with watercolor. It's a little tighter, not so relaxed. And I'm using much smaller brushes. I think if I got the large brushes out, maybe I'd do better. I'll have to try that next time. Look out for me painting watercolor with large brushes, and we'll see what that does for the situation. I had the hardest time when painting this couple on deciding what they should wear. And it's something that always happens to me. I have a hard enough time choosing my own clothes, let alone somebody else's. And I managed to figure out that the guy was wearing denim shorts and a sage green shirt. And eventually I figured out that she had a red top on and was also wearing blue denim shorts. So I got there in the end. It just took me a little bit of time to figure it out. Okay, from here on out, I'm going to cut out some of this painting because it gets a bit tedious. I use small brushes and the colours on my palette and paint it as though I'm doing a colouring book. And I go in with pen after and do a little sort of hatching, I think they call it. I'm very new to this technique. And I do darken some areas and put in some shadows. The blue ink that I first did the woman in is not waterproof, and I've had to wash and blot that quite a bit to get that colour out. I do eventually manage to sort of cobble it a little bit so it doesn't look like a blue arm, but I would say use a waterproof pen. I think I have seen videos where occasionally people have used non-waterproof pens and have managed to incorporate the colour as a sort of tone that enhanced the painting, but I'm not in that situation yet. I'm not that good at things, so I'm not going to try that. I just blotted out. I think I had the same problem with her shoe. Thing about watercolor is you need to use a lot of water, and sometimes I forget to do that. And here I managed to remember to put some water on the paper, and that helped the red, which I think is cadmium red, spread a little better. Watercolor is all about adding enough water. I painted that strip of sand, but there's no waviness where the water runs onto the sand. I just drew a straight line around there. So there are lots of little things about this painting that I feel I could have done better, and perhaps next time I will do better. I think it's a new technique to me that I have to put in time and learn it. Watch loads of YouTube videos. There are a lot of YouTube videos online and wash, and that some of them are very good. And so hopefully I will get better at this as I go on. I didn't do that much with the path, just a wash of raw sienna and very faint. I didn't add any texture to that at all. I missed an opportunity there. I'm using a fan brush. It's a bristle fan brush, and I'm going to add some texture to the grass and around the base of the tree. I could have done something with the pathway if I had thought about it at the time. But like I say, it's a new technique. You learn as you go, don't you? And so I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it. I'll do better in my next painting. I love this brush. I've had it more than 30 years. It was one of the first brushes I bought. I think it's a Bob Ross, and he was my very first teacher, watching him on TV, and I painted his entire book that he had at that time. And that's what gave me the confidence to go and get lessons. And I like a fan brush because you can use it in several different ways. You can turn it on its edge and get sort of nice, tall, scrubby grasses, or just stubble it along and get short, weedy things. It's absolutely great for scrub, for lawns, for anything where you need a little bit of texture. I've got to say, I'm not one for splatter or using salt on my paintings. It looks unnatural to me, and I was watching someone the other day and they used quite a bit of splatter, and the final painting did look nice, but the splatters didn't make any sense to me. So unless it does make sense, I won't try that. I could see where it would in some cases, maybe. I don't know, maybe water. I think it does with water because I remember using that on foam when I've painted ocean waves. But I think that's about the only time I ever do use it. I think I had the light coming in one direction and I painted the rocks, forgetting about where the light was coming from. And I think I gave up on them. That's why they ended up looking weird. Just don't look at the rocks. I don't paint every leaf on a tree unless it's very close, and then I might paint a few of the leaves, but not all of the leaves. I just dab it on with whatever brush I happen to be using at the moment. And I use a mid-tone green, a highlight, which is usually a yellow, and French ultramarine blue for my shadow, darkest leaves on the tree, the ones hidden underneath. Well, I feel that wasn't bad for a first attempt, and I'll give it a go sometime in the future and see if I can't do better. Maybe plan it better. Maybe it's all about the planning. I'm not sure at this stage, but I think if you've got a good idea of what you want your end result to be, even if it's only in your head, not down on paper, then you have a better chance of achieving a good result. So we'll try it again at some point when I think of another subject to paint, and I'll show you how it goes. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you could do that. It helps my channel grow. They show my videos more often if I get good likes. And like I say, I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.